I'm just going to show you the difference between writing JAL in JAL Edit and writing JAL in Visual Studio. It's a modified shuttle called Shuttle Plus, and I've done the thing whereby I've written all the routines to control the hardware, and they're all in Shuttle Plus hardware.jal. So in order to get the thing to work, the first thing I do is I compile that one-line program, which just checks if it understands this chip. So I go to terminal run build task, which is Control-Shift-B. Down here, no errors, no warnings, the usual output for the JAL compiler. Over here, it tells me that it compiled the JAL file. Right? At that point, I can press the return. So I'm going to start writing code. First thing I'm going to do is, now as soon as I started typing ink, it suggested include might be the word I'm looking for. This is called IntelliSense. And true enough, include is the word I'm looking for. So I just type on that and it finishes it for me. And then I'll type whatever it is, it's Shuttle Plus hardware. And that's the name of the other file. Now, one of the big reasons for going to this, if you're in JAL Edit and you've got 2 or 3 big files opening, it takes maybe 10 seconds to jump between them. It doesn't take any time here to jump between the files that you've got open. So it's much, much slicker. Now, the first thing we have to do with any JAL program is, you know, that enable digital I/O that I can't remember what that's called. It's digital something. So oh, there it's there. There's the list of all the things it could possibly be. And I get to pick enable digital I/O and I'm done. And then my program has got something called system initialize I need to do. So I just start typing SY and there's system initialize. And I click on it and I'm done. I'm going to declare a variable next. VR, that's right, space, BY, yep, it can only be byte. So var byte, and I'm going to call it V1. So far, so good. Now I'm going to write a function. So I start typing FU, and you notice that there's a little box has appeared with function in it. That's not, most of the rest of these with the ABC is when it's saying, I know this word from something else that you've written, either the definitions in the 16F JAL file or your previous code. But no, it knows function is a JAL word. This is what's called a snippet. FU, I click on it with my mouse, dunk, and it fills in the rest of the function for me. So I'm not going to forget to end the function. I'm not going to forget to put the is part in. And at that point, I can just write the rest of it. So I'll put a function in here and I'll call it fetch v. My apologies, that's wrong. It should be fetch v should be there, and it wants a byte in, which is going to call n, and it'll return byte. So far, so good. I'll write the rest of that in a wee while. Then we have procedure, PRO. Oh, there's procedure down at the bottom. Click on it and there's my procedure written for me. Other thing is that anything that I'm writing has to have a main loop. What's it called? The main loop in JAL's a forever loop, isn't it? FO. Oh, there's a for loop and a forever loop. So if I press forever loop, that's me writing my forever loop. My forever loop is going to be V1 equals, well, it knows about fetch V. I only wrote it 10 seconds ago, which is already on its list of things that it knows about. So it's going to be fetch V for channel 0. Set V1. It's never heard of that because I haven't called my procedure yet. So what I'll do is I'll write a procedure in there called set V1. That's for a byte in, which I'm calling X is, and in there, that's my code. So I can now set V1 to channel V1, and I'm going to have another quick compile at it. Terminal, run build task. 0 errors, 2 warnings, but I'm still on stream. Now, a couple of other things that I can do. Each of these boys down here is a sidebar. The search sidebar is particularly interesting. If I want to, this thing that we're talking about has got points. So if I look up anything that's got the word point in it, and there's all the things, 74 different procedures to set points and procedures to reset points and procedures to make them push-pull and all that, every point. Or I've got a left-hand totty, so if I want LH totty, there's all the left-hand totty commands as well, and I can pick up and go to any one of those anytime I feel like it. There you are, there's the left-hand totty's tri-state, and that'll take me to the definition of that. Over here, while I'm in this big file, over here is a thing that takes me up and down and lets me see the code in helicopter view. So I can see how far up and down the code I am and where I am in respect to the definitions and all that. Another thing that I can do is, see that procedure there? I can fold that up when I'm finished writing it. And that function, where are we? I'll just put it in there. There's the forever loop. I can fold that up when I'm not working on it. That function, it won't fold up because there's nothing in it. So once I've put something in it, let's say I want to get something from the ADC. I type ADC, there's all my ADC things, and there's ADC get conversion. I want a channel N. That's me now got a valid function. Will it still compile? Terminal, run build task. Yes, it'll compile. I'll go in there, close the terminal. Can I write it to the pick? Yeah, but it's writing it to the PickKit 4, but it hasn't found a PickKit 4 because I haven't got it attached. So I'm not writing it to the pick at the minute. Doesn't matter. It's only a demonstration. This is a text-only editor. I mean, there's no graphics, there's no designing forums on here. There's none of that. It doesn't even have a printer option. You can't print your text. You've got to export it to Notepad to print it. But what it does do is all these, the file, the menu options there are very, very limited, but it's got this thing called the palette. And if you bring the palette up, it's got every command that this editor knows about, but it's not only got them for the editor, it's got them for JAL and it's got them for Python and C++ and anything that I'm using this editor for. And I use this editor for lots of things, but there's one there for font zoom in. Control-Shift-P, font zoom in. Control-Shift-P, editor font zoom in. Makes it bigger. Control-Shift-P, editor font zoom in. So you can have as much or as little on the page as you need to have on the page when you're using it. If you've got a big screen but you want to get close to something, dead simple. There's another animal on here called Platform IO. Now, Platform IO is nothing short of amazing. You can write for Arduino in Platform IO, but what you can also write for is, let me just search. There's currently over 800 different boards right? So let's say I want a commercially made board with an Atmel on it. Let's say an Atmega, right? There's 189 Atmega boards and chips available that this will write for. Or if I'm looking for PICs, $17 different PIC boards that you can write for in this. But the thing of it is that, let's go to platforms. I've got Atmel, Expressive, that's the E, STM. These are only the ones that I'm using. But what I can do with this is have an Arduino, an STM32, an ESP32, and some other thing, a blue pill, for example, all plugged in to the machine at the same time. I write the code and it compiles it and puts it onto all 4 chips at the same time, even though they're 4 entirely different architectures. Whatever this can't program, can't be programmed. This was my reason for getting into Visual Studio Code. It is absolutely mental. If you're designing stuff for microchips, platform IO, it is absolutely the bee's knees, right? And that's just for buy. I'll mention that again in the way past tomorrow. But you know, from going into that, I thought, you know, I should be writing this 8-bit PIC stuff in Visual Studio Code, which is why I got to the JAL editor version of it. And it's, you know, it takes about an hour to set up, but once you're set up, you go forever.
Can I just say something as a recent convert? It's only the last week or so I've been playing with it. So that's my forever loop for the shuttle. It's only 3 lines. And the benefit of writing all the procedures with nothing in them before you start. So I've got one called fetch the times. Okay, there it's up there. I'm not sure yet what times I want to fetch. I can fill that in later. I want to make the motor go left. I want it to go right. I wanted to stop it. I want to have activity going in the left-hand side, the right-hand side, and so on. And this whole idea of folding is great because I've got fetch the times. I've managed to fold it out the way. That's what I can write it later. And once I know it works, I can fold it up so I'm not forever scrolling up and down the screen trying to find stuff. What makes a motor go left? Well, that's the code I've written for it so far. I've got to add in extra code later for acceleration. What makes it go left? Well, that's the code I've written for it for going left. And once I know it works, I can fold it out the way, which is handy for something that's only 148 lines long, but the main piece is 1,200, I think it is, lines long. The ability to fold is very, very, very useful and powerful, I think, and very, very handy.
And you say you can program the Arduinos. You can program Arduino in it as well, Chuck.
Absolutely. It'll program any Arduino, including all the exotic ones. It'll including Arduinos that don't exist. There's an Arduino, you know how you've got the Atmega 168 and the 328s and the basic Unos and Nanos. And then at the Mega, you go up to the Atmega 2560. Right? Now, the 2560 is a beastie, a chip, but you only get it in SMD format. You don't get a through hole version. In between them, there's an Atmega 1284, which is a 40-pin chip, and it comes in PDIP. It comes as a through hole chip, so you can actually solder it to a board. But there's no Arduino that's designed, you know, there's no Arduino with one of those chips on it. But if you tell it you want to use the Arduino framework and you want to program for that chip, it'll do it.
All right, all right.
right? That's the other thing. You can tell it, I want to write an Arduino, but I want it to go to an STM chip. I want it to go to a Raspberry Pi 2040.
Right.
You know, the actual, I'm writing my code in that language, but I want to deploy it on that chip. It'll do that.
Oh.
Platform IO is literally magic. You know, that I think there's a magic wand involved in it at some point that I haven't actually come across yet.